was thinking, might have been the men in black. No, they moved. I'm like, really? And then they start moving in front of me. One goes down and the other goes up. There was a massive uh, spaceship, a UFO. Hello, the forest is whispering again. Shall we begin? Welcome back, Lurlings. I'm Lorelai, the keeper of the codex, and today's episode will be full of amazing stories. So make yourself comfortable, grab a cup of tea, and settle in. Somewhere in these old pages, there's a story waiting to be told. So let's discover it together. So, the next story is about aliens. Well, if you are seeing for the first time this video, why I don't have lights, because all of a sudden in my first story, while I was talking about a spirit, a demon, the lights just turn off, and now I have some fairy lights that are with a solar panel charged, so they should work. Okay, so my experience with aliens, that has been, and I don't know if I could tell everything. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna tell you. The first time of a close experience with aliens was not just by myself, but also with my mom. We were in my grandma's home. It was an afternoon, not dark yet, probably 4, 5 in the afternoon, and my mom was looking through the window. My grandma had a big window back then. We were in the second floor, or the third, second floor, and she was looking through the window, just normal, and then suddenly she says, uh, come here, Lorelai, come here. And I'm like, why, what happened? Look, what is that? And then she points the sky, and I'm like, what is it? And then I just run, and then I see two lights. We can call it lights. I see two lights. One is here, one is next to it, and they are just floating. I'm like, Mom, those are stars. And she's like, no, they moved. I'm like, really? And then they start moving in front of me. One goes down and the other goes up. And I'm like, I have to film it. I have to film it. Then I go back um, to my desk to pick up my phone, and I'm very clumsy. I'm so sorry. I was so happy to see something like that, and I stumbled on my desk, on the side of the desk, and I almost fell down. But when I arrived to the window, it already disappeared, and my mom was like, it disappeared in front of my eyes. And the only thing that we could think, it's aliens. What else could be? Like, that's a UFO. I have no proof because I was clumsy and I was slow, so I couldn't film it. But you have to believe me, it happened. My mom is also a witness of that. The second experience, I have to read it. Okay, it's with my aunt and me. My aunt had a doggy, and she always took her dog for a walk in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the night. And I was not living with my grandma at that moment, but I visited her that day. And my aunt told me, I'm going to buy some bread. Do you want to come with me? And I said, yeah, of course, let's go. And the bakery was not too far away, probably 50 meters, 70 meters away from where we were living, or where she was living. And it was night, like 8, 9 in the night. We were walking, and she was holding the dog. And then, this is weird. I mean, I was just walking, and I have this feeling of it's dangerous. And I thought I had this feeling because the night is dangerous, the streets are dangerous, people are dangerous, and I'm not a person who always is outside. So every time when I go outside, I have a bit of a panic attack. Um, and I have this feeling of like, okay, we should go back quickly. But my aunt tells me, look up, look up. And then I'm looking up. What? What? Look, there are lights. And I'm like, lights? Where? And then, I mean, I was looking in front, like, where? And she says, no, up. Like, right up. And then I look up, and there was a massive uh, spaceship, UFO. It was huge. It was like a circle, and it had lights, and the like white lights. I haven't seen any colorful ones. Just lights, like white. They were around, and they were like going like this in this way, and I was shocked. And then she says, very chill, she says, don't you want to take a picture or like film? She's not a believer of these things. She's an old person. Um, she doesn't know much about these things. She thought it was a plane. And she said, don't you want to take a picture? And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, of course. I remember I was about to have my phone out of my pocket, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have no phone right now. And actually, I didn't take my phone with me because what if some people rob me in the streets? Um, yeah, so I didn't have my phone next to me, so I was like, oh no, I didn't bring it. And that moment when I was looking for my phone, I don't know what happened, but the time stopped, or the time went quickly, that I have no idea what happened in that timeline. The next thing I remember is that we were already in the bakery, like in the corner of the bakery place. I don't remember what happened, how we walked, how we left that place. I have no idea. We were in the bakery, and in the bakery I was not remembering even that we saw this thing. And then we went back with the bread in our hands. And then we're passing by again the same place where we saw this UFO. And I have a flashback. And I'm like, wait, we were here, something happened. And she's like, wow, what happened? Did you lose your phone? I'm like, no, I didn't bring my phone. And then she says, oh, but that's good. Like, it's dangerous outside. Um, and I'm like, no, something happened. And I was like, wait, do you remember that we saw this UFO like a few minutes ago? And she was like, UFO? What is that? And I was like, this big, like, shape with many lights. And she was like, what? I didn't see anything. When did it happen? When did it happen? And I was trying to make her remember that we saw it a few minutes ago, and she didn't remember. She was like, no, we were just walking and we went to the bakery. And I said, no, we stopped here because you saw a big thing with lights. And she said, no. And then uh, I stopped asking. Yeah, that was the second time. I don't know what happened. I felt like the time was cut, or the time, or like they took some memories out of us. But yeah, that happened. I have no idea what happened on those minutes that we walked from the place of the spaceship and the bakery. Yeah, that's the second thing that happened. But there's another one. Do you remember my first story that I was telling you about my nightmares? You know, my everyday nightmares, my daily nightmares, and this entity and everything. Um, in through these months, I had different kind of nightmares, many. But there was one time, um, like I'm seeing myself laying in my bed, and the lights are off. I'm hearing the people outside, like normal situation of that hour. But in front of me, like I'm here laying, and the door is here, and there, in front of the TV, because my TV was there, I see a little alien, a gray alien, a small one. He was probably 1 meter and 20 centimeters or something. He was just standing there looking at me. I couldn't move. I couldn't shout. I knew it was the sleep paralysis, but he was there. Why would an alien so randomly appear? And that night, this entity of the first story didn't appear. Just this alien. And why would be an alien in my room? Is there a reason for that? Um, yeah, that's the third thing. After this, and after um, I got rid of this spirit or entity. After that, I I was sleeping well those days. I had no problems, and it was a Sunday. I remember, and my mom lived in another city, and we used to call each other for talking. And it was 10 in the morning. I was still sleeping, and then my phone rings, and I'm immediately thinking it's my mom because she was the only one having my number, or my grandma too, and she's the only one who calls me every day. So I think, oh, that's my mom, and I'm picking up my phone and I'm looking, but her name is not there. I see numbers, like long numbers, many. I don't know if there is a country where they have many numbers in the phone numbers. Um, but it was long, long. It was just passing by numbers and numbers and numbers. I'm like, what is this? I I don't know who's calling. And I was not afraid. I was answering and I said, hello. And then what I hear is a sound like how can we call this? Like a radio. Yeah, it was like static noise from electricity. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And it didn't stop. I was just listening. And I thought somebody was, I don't know, trying to hack my phone or something. And then I hang the phone. I was a bit like, okay, maybe it's my mom, or maybe the telephone company, something. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check who this phone number belongs to. The weird thing is, after the call, in the list of the calls, the previous calls, this number didn't appear. It was like it never happened. Like nobody called me. And I was like, wait, I saw numbers and I answered. I said hello and I heard this thing. But now there is nothing in the list of latest calls. I was a bit scared and confused because what is that? And before we turn to our next page, the codex is always growing and some of its most fascinating pages haven't been discovered yet. And if you have experienced something unexplained, heard an old family legend, encountered a mysterious creature, or know a local tale that deserves to be remembered, I would love to hear it. So send me a whisper to the codex. If you would like to send your story and also continue exploring with me beyond these pages, you can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Substack, where I share folklore, artwork, and many other things, and little glimpses into the world of the codex. If you are curious about the making of the codex, the illustrations, and what happens behind the scenes, which many things happens, you can also visit my second YouTube channel, Lorelai Vlogs. All the links will be in the description box. And if you are enjoying our journey together, I would be truly honored if you subscribed and joined our growing circle of lorelings. So subscribe to this channel, please. And the last story is a few days after this happened. I was again in my room, and now my aunt calls me, like, Lauren, hey, come here, because I used to live very close to my grandma's home, and like, come here, let's have lunch. And I said, yeah, of course, I'm coming. And I go out. I was living in a third floor, and this building had like, you have to go stairs like this. And I was about to go to the second floor, and I see two men outside. These men were wearing a suit, black suit, very elegant, but they were tall, probably 2 meters and more. Like, no, more than 2 meters. Yeah, because my husband is almost 2 meters, and they were taller than him, and they were thin, very thin, and the faces were white, very white. For me at that moment, I would think, are they foreigners? But what are they doing here? Why so elegant? It was probably midday, 1 in the afternoon, and I stop when I see them, and I'm like, who are they? And they had a car, an old car. I mean, not old, but it was red. Was it red? I remember red. I'm not sure, but I remember the guys mostly. But I remember the type of car that they had. It was, I have not much knowledge about cars, but I will put a picture if I find a picture like the one that I remember. It was an old model of cars, typical the ones that we saw in old movies. I think it was red, and they are looking like this, but very robotic movements, like this. Both of them. And I had a goosebump that moment. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was off. And I started praying, God, please protect me. I need to go out of this building. And they were right in front of the door. And then I go on, I keep walking. I go to the second floor, then to the first. And I'm about to open the last door for being outside, and they are in front. I remember that moment and it gives me chills. I try not to look at them. I was like this, and I opened the door. I closed it very slowly, and then I walked. And as soon as I was in the corner, I ran to my grandma. And when I arrived to her home, she was like, "What's happening?" Because I was breathing hard. I was out of breath. And my aunt was there too. My aunt who lived in the same building. And I was asking her, "Aunt, have you seen a car in front of the building?" And she said, "A car? No. Yeah, there is a car in front of the building, and there are two guys like with suits." And she's like, "But that's weird. Maybe they're going to a party." I'm like, "A party? Today? It's Tuesday?" And then I go check because my grandma had her room right to where we could see the car. I go to my grandma's room. I look through the window, and the car is not there. The people are not there. Nobody's there. There is a park in front, and the park is empty. Everything is empty. And I was thinking, might have been the men in black, these men who are looking for people who have connections or who have experienced alien things. Because it's so weird that I received this call, a very weird call with weird sounds, and I have no number in my phone, and then they show up. Yeah, I have no answer for that, and I have no proof. Like I couldn't take pictures of anything, so why would they be looking for me? But anyway, that was the story of the aliens. And if you have something similar, please let me know, because I don't want to be alone on this. And if you have seen this car, it would be scary to know, but I would like to know if you have seen these men too. Yeah. We close today's pages of the Codex. Thank you, Lorelai, for being here, for listening, and for keeping these stories alive with me. Every tale, every whisper, and every mystery becomes part of the world we are slowly remembering together. Until the forest whispers once more and the Codex opens again. Farewell.